I'm gonna figure out the mechanics of that. By the way, I'm curious to know if I go live, like press the go live and then press the X, can I then go ahead and do something else, or do I need to wait for, or would that throw out that process? It's just what I'm thinking about.
We are live, man.
I know. And with
Brandon Spivey.
welcome to the market. Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I-
And we are the Markout Movie Podcasters. And on today's episode, Aaron is picks the 5 heartbeats,
yeah.
which I thought was actually based on a true story, and I found out it's not, which I was disappointed.
Well, actually, if you look at the end of the credit, they do show a picture of the Dales, so it's based loosely off of the story of the group, the Dales, based loosely off of them. But yeah, they kind of mix a little bit of the Dale story, the Temptation story, for Tops, like different like little famous Motown slash soul groups from back in those days, kind of mixing into like a fictitious group, uh, kind of reminiscent of what's that? You remember that movie with I think it's called. Oh man, what is it called? It has the song Fever Dog in it. You know what I'm talking about?
I have no idea.
It's like a rock group, a rock band, back in the 70s, and something like that. It's actually a really good movie. It has uh, Goldie Hawn's daughter in it, Kate Hudson. She's in it.
Oh, I know what you're talking
Almost
about now.
famous. Almost
Yeah,
famous.
I've seen it once.
That's not a real group, but you wouldn't know that because it is so well done.
So well done.
But yeah, we're discussing the 5 heartbeats.
5 heartbeats.
And for those that aren't familiar, I will first let me show you a quick overlay of the poster. The 5 heartbeats. This movie
I have a
stars.
problem with 2 casting though. Michael Wright and Leon. They look too similar. They look like brothers, and they weren't brothers in the movie.
No.
Your guy, the director, Townsend,
Robert
is the brother of Leon. I think, I don't know. I literally got confused which character was which at some points.
Oh man, that's good.
You don't think they look alike? You don't look they look close to like they could be twins, man.
We all don't look alike, brother. All right.
Don't you start. Oh my goodness.
But all right. But it stars from this poster, as you can see, it stars Robert Townsend as Duck, Michael Wright as Eddie King Jr., but we got him Eddie King Jr. and Leon as JT, Harry Lennox as Dresser, and Chico Wells as Choir Boy. Plus, starring the legendary Diane Carroll, Harold Nicholas is in the film, and you pointed out Red is Hawthorne James from Speed.
Yes, the bus driver. I was like, when he came on screen, I was like, I know this guy from somewhere. I believe he had longer hair, but I know him from somewhere. And I looked up his resume and I saw Speed right off. I was like, oh, the bus driver. Yes.
The bus driver. Yep.
But he was great in this. Psychotic, but great.
The story of rise and fall of an African American vocal group is what it says on IMDb. I guess it's an assessment of what it's about. I think it's a little bit about the drive to do what you love, but then the conflict that come along with that. With success. And people working together that don't always like each other. But yeah,
Yeah.
uh, so yeah, this movie starts with I love the opening of this film because it starts with a group singing. It's pretty much similar to like the the Supremes essentially with Baby Doll. They're singing, and then like without a lot of dialogue, you can tell that the heartbeats are waiting on Bobby and Eddie. I guess they don't really care if Eddie shows up, but Bobby is the lead singer, and they're like, "Where's Bobby?" Nobody has seen Bobby, but you can kind of see how who everybody is at the beginning. You
Yeah.
see, Dresser is the essentially like a commander type of guy. Um, that's what I got from him. If you got something different, let me know. He's the one that was looking dancing and stuff like
Hmm.
that. You've seen him in other stuff before. Man
Yeah.
of Steel. Um,
Yeah. I've seen him in a lot of stuff once he got, older. But I never seen him in anything when he was younger. So I just thought he came out of nowhere, like in the 2010s, because I hadn't
mhm.
seen him in anything before that. So,
Yeah,
yeah, I thought
and
he
he's
was
still
he was
working, so that's good.
yeah.
He has been, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, he's been in a lot of shows, a lot. Pretty sure he was in Scandal. Um, I'm pretty sure. I haven't seen Scandal, but I'm pretty sure I saw a clip of Scandal and he was in it. I believe he played president of the United States in some movie too. But
Yeah.
I don't know. He's been in a lot. I've seen him in a lot, but I can't really think of anything
So
I've seen him in.
I feel like he was in. I don't know if he was in the General's Daughter. I feel like he was, but I might be so wrong about that. Um,
As who?
I don't know. I
Because
haven't seen it so long, but
okay,
I vaguely feel like I've seen him, but I might be so wrong about that. But anyway,
you may be
Dresser.
confusing him with Clarence Williams III.
Oh yeah, maybe because he's in that movie. I forgot that he's in
Yeah.
that film. You mean You said Clarence Williams the third? He's in it.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I hate that I confuse him. Gucci Life. What up, bud? I don't know. Oh, okay. Hey, whatever that is. Gucci Life.
You know what
Um,
Gucci is?
it's
They made a movie about it last year, I think, or the year before.
yeah, I've never watched it. I don't care. Uh, but
So
but
rude to
did you
Adam
like it?
Driver and his career post
Man, who's
Star
been
Wars.
rooting for Adam Driver career, me or Adam Driver? Um,
I would
but
say neither. I say his career is really good.
I don't know,
He
65 or 64,
he gets a
whatever that
lot of
was.
work.
He's getting work, but it's not good work. But
You
anyway,
don't you don't think it's good work. You
yeah,
dissing
I don't
Adam Driver post Star Wars. I see how you are.
Good Life from Lyft with the Kevin Hart. Oh, okay. Oh yeah.
But that was forgettable. So much I
But
forgot it.
yeah, I forgot the season of that. But anyway, we have Dresser, and then you have Choir Boy, who I love that little part where he's like, uh, "You just mad because you got hit in the head with a bottle." He said they could have just booed. They didn't have to throw bottles. But just like he's kind of he has that timidness, shyness. He has that conflict between being singing secularly and singing in the church. Um, and then of course JT, who's the womanizer. Leon
Leon.
is. I love Leon. Leon's one of my favorite actors that pops up and stuff. My favorite film that I've seen him in. Well, he's done a lot, but one of my favorite characters that he played was in Above the Rim.
Yeah, I
Also
knew
David.
I figured you go above the rim. I won't go cliffhanger. I thought he was hilarious in it. He great
I've never
little.
seen I've never seen Cliffhanger. So
Are you kidding me?
I've never seen that movie.
That's on the list of the pick this year with
Okay.
Cliffhanger 2 filming this year, so it's on the list. You're gonna see
So okay.
Leon fight Stallone. I mean, who doesn't want to see that?
So is he
He's
a
a villain.
villain?
Yeah, he's one of the
Okay, cool.
villains.
Leon is just a phenomenal actor. People might the earliest sight of him was probably the Madonna's uh, prayer, whatever that video was. She played like the Black Jesus, which was very controversial at that time. For that video.
Still
But Leon
controversial.
very controversial, yeah. But yeah, JT. it's like JT, and then you can kind of see who he is from just his way he looks at the women, the way he talks to people, and what he does. But then you see the main person is Robert Townsend. What you feel? How'd you feel about Townsend in this film?
I mean, I thought he was fine. I mean, he wasn't my focus.
Hmm.
Although I felt they wanted him to be the focus, but I really,
Well, they would be him because he directed.
yeah,
He,
he
re-
directed it.
he also wrote it
I
with Steve Wayans.
Yeah,
They wrote.
I kind of got that he. I'm not sure if this is accurate or maybe this is just how he was back in the day, but I felt like he couldn't get cast, so he kind of did his own thing with his people,
No, it's not that he couldn't get cast.
or cast in the roles he wanted.
Yeah, it's more of that. It's not so much that a man that's kind of, you ain't been casting for this role, fine, I took my own. It was like Robert Townsend essentially said, uh, "Let me tell our stories, and let me, let me employ." So he's very pro black as far as like, let me
Yeah,
cast us in movies. Let's venture and do certain things. And I was surprised to see him pop up in. I just finished watching the whole 2 seasons of The Bear. I was happy to see him pop up in that show as a father of one of the characters. And I'm like, I love seeing that Robert is still working, and deservingly so. But yeah, I would say my favorite character in this movie is Eddie Kane, Eddie King
yeah,
Jr.
that's what I was gonna say. I was more drawn to Eddie in this film, I guess, because well, he's the lead singer, but he's so involved with the drugs, and it
Mm,
ruins him. And of course, if you've seen the movie, you know at the end he gets his life together and he
yeah.
finds God. And it just came. I was drawn to his character more than anybody. You know.
So,
So
uh, so the movie starts with Eddie and also Bobby. Um, I gotta point out somebody else too. But Eddie and Bobby is like they're playing cards. They're gambling essentially, and trying to get over on somebody uh, for money wise.
I think he
And
played a lot of Bobbies in the '80s or in that era. I'm pretty sure
the
his name was
guy
Bobby.
to play the guy to
And
play Bobby.
yeah, I'm pretty sure his name was Bobby in Class Acts, if I'm not mistaken. Same actor,
Yeah,
right?
the same actor from. That's what I was gonna point out. Yeah, same guy from Class Act. I don't know if that was his name in Class Act, but he was so menacing in that movie until he wasn't. Uh, but anyway, it's until my dude Tommy. I've been always calling him Tommy because he was in the Martin show. Tommy came in and he was like his uncle or whatever, and he kind of slapping him around. But yeah. Anyway, so they are running from some guys that they try to rob, and Bobby gets shot in both legs. He gets shot in one leg. He said my leg, and he said my other leg, and something like that. But Eddie gets away, and I love when the Five Heartbeats were about to go on stage, and he slides in and grabs the microphone from Duck and starts singing, and
Mm-hmm.
then Duck and mouth, where's Bobby? And he says, just like it's perfect, man. I want to give Michael Wright some props in this because he doesn't, you don't see him in a lot of things these days. But I thought that this is probably his best character. I think he was also in. I think he was in the show Oz, in one or two seasons.
The
Um,
best thing I've seen him, this is just my personal opinion, of course, is Sugar Hill with Wesley Snipes.
he's the brother, right?
Yeah, which also has another drug issue. He That was a much worse drug issue. They mean, that was hard to watch. I watched that as a kid, and I was just like, I didn't know anything
Uh,
about drugs, so I learned a little bit about drugs watching that movie. But yeah, I thought he was a great actor. I always wonder what happened to him because
He
I
was
have
in
literally not seen him in much since
he was
then.
in Point Blank as well with Mickey Rourke. I didn't know that.
Was he?
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, it shows that he's in that film too. He did an episode of New York Undercover as Renee Mazelli, which I haven't seen all the show. You would be more
I don't
equipped to do that.
recall him, but I do recall the guy from Martin popping up in season 3. We did not.
No, no, we didn't. Also, at this point, I really don't care. I don't care what it moves. It doesn't matter. That it moves to Netflix. Everything, Netflix is hit or miss when it comes to stuff. Um, and with WWE,
Obviously, it's a hit with WWE, Aaron.
yeah.
It's gonna get more subscribers. Peacock's about to lose some subscribers if they're forced to get rid of, which they will be. In 2025, they'll be forced to get rid of the WWE, so they're gonna lose some subscribers right there. So they're gonna be hitting. It's gonna be a hit for them.
What was your thoughts on John Witherspoon in this movie? Are you familiar with John Witherspoon?
Friday.
Yeah, Friday.
Friday.
He played the MC, and plus you hear him be the voice of the DJ. I always like John Witherspoon, and this is he at one point he always would work with Robert. He was in of course um, Hollywood Shuffle is the owner of the Wiki Dinky Dolls,
Yeah.
and so he's in here as well as Wild Rudy. But I really enjoyed him in this film. It's like he's just one of those naturally funny comedians.
Yeah. No, I thought he was good. I guess it's just he had a really small role.
Mm-hmm.
He was good though. I mean, it's like I kind of wish he would have maybe I could have seen him play the manager, Jimmy.
Oh
But I thought that guy was great. Don't know who he is, but I
yeah,
thought he was
yeah.
great.
I was gonna say no, I wouldn't, because Jimmy, for me, like he was such a very like lovable type of
Yeah,
speaker. He seemed very like a very genuine type of guy um, in the film, and he's just a man that essentially loves music, loves groups, loves helping young groups make it. And but it seems like his wife Eleanor, uh, who was played by Diane Carroll, um, was didn't want him to do it because she didn't want him to get hurt again.
yeah,
And that's just loving. That just shows her love for him.
yeah.
Yeah.
And which she was right. He got more than hurt.
Yeah,
Which is
but
why I actually thought this was based on a true story because the character that the guy from Speed's playing is a real person who did
Red.
go to he did go to prison and for murder. So I actually thought it was based on a true story at this point. Then I read later it wasn't. As you said, they kind of adapted it from multiple groups, but he was definitely real. And I don't know if he actually killed a manager or not, but he did kill someone.
Yeah, well, the movie does deal with a lot of real life stuff that would happen in the industry. They talk about at one part payola. It mentioned payola, which was a thing where uh, record execs would pay DJs at radio stations to play records, to get them on the record, to get people listening, to kind of help boost the momentum, which is illegal. But that's how a lot of acts got started, is payola, unfortunately. Um, and then also it mentions a couple of things. One, the covers, how white artists would do covers of black artists' music
I
in
thought you were
order.
gonna go elsewhere with this.
No. White artists covers of black artists' music in order to uh, get it to cross over. The Beach Boys, uh, the most famous, I guess, case with this would be the Beach Boys and uh, what I'm trying, Little Richard, uh, uh, because they did it with his song, they did it with one of his songs. They also did it with Chuck Berry as well, I think. Uh, but it's like a lot of their earlier songs. There was that whole surface stuff, but then they took a lot of black folk music and kind of made it their own. And oh, and then of course, yeah, this is probably what you're talking about. Me going there, of course, not showing the black artists on the album cover. I don't know if that's what you're talking about, but that's what I thought. That's what I think about. Where
50% of what I was talking about. That was half of
um
it.
uh oh, is you talking about what Eddie said in that part?
Yeah.
He's not wrong. He said like why aren't they ever the one crossing over? He says you never see five explicit explicit words that no one else but me can say right now. Uh, uh, Crossing over on Elvis Presley's album cover, and he name dropped Elvis, which is true. It's true. It was a real thing.
The only problem I had with that line was during that point in time, Elvis wasn't actually making music. But I get his message.
Well,
You didn't see it.
so Elvis. I mean, that would have happened early 50s, right? Early 60s, early
Late
50s.
50s. Late 50s.
So
And that was
Elvis was you
probably,
point you saying?
yeah, he went to the draft in 57, I think. He was only in the
But they said,
music for like a year before he went to the draft, till he went
but,
to Germany.
but you could probably say that they were referring to maybe an earlier period in music with
Yeah.
Elvis. Um,
But it was in the 60s at that point, before 68, which he was just doing movies. So I got what they were going for. It just wasn't accurate. That's all I was saying.
yeah, I do want to point out Harold Nichols, who played Sarge in this movie. Harold Nichols was a part of the Nicholas brothers, who was a famous tap dancing
I love
uh,
him.
team. Him and his brother. They also are the ones that kind of taught uh, Hines, Gregory Hines, what he knew about tapping and things like that. And they started out in vaudeville, like the early stuff. They did stuff with Shirley Temple, things like that. They're famous, absolutely
Hmm.
famous guys. But yeah, Harold Sarge was perfect as this essentially drill sergeant who's going to make sure to get them whipped in line
Yeah.
as far as like their dancing, their routine. I loved it. I loved him in it.
Yeah, he was great. I I didn't look him up or anything, but I was like, I know him from something. Uh, he kind of looks like the dude from Harlem Nights. Maybe him, may not be, but I don't know.
What
But
difference make?
he just danced. I remember there was a guy that was dancing in Harlem Nights. He kind of looked like him. I can't. I've only seen the movie once, so I could actually be wrong. But he just looked familiar.
Yeah,
Uh, but
I
I thought
think.
he was great. He was a breath of fresh air when he came in,
Hmm.
and he was a very talented actor. You know,
Yeah. There is one part of the film that kind of seems, uh, which couple of things. One, before they get that deal, uh, they do get the Jimmy says, "Hey, I tell you what, guys, oh, let me work with you. Let me promote you, uh, and uh, and if you don't win that contest, then I'll pay you $100. You
yeah,
know, and then dresses like that sound like a good deal. And so that's when he works with him and brings Sarge in and everything. But then I want to talk about two other groups that we had to deal with in this movie. You have Flash and what I forget the name of Flash's little group. Uh, but and then the other one is Bird and the Midnight Falcon. Um, but yeah, so Flash, that guy is an actor, has been in Hollywood. Also, I didn't know this until I was looking at something else about the film that he actually is a martial artist as well. But he's been in movies like She's Gotta Have It, Boomerang, Death by Temptation, um, you know, other little films like that. It's the most famous one is of course this, and then in the '80s he was in a commercial for uh, like a soul album. He's famous and said, "Don't know my brother, you got to get your own." So that's a line from the commercial he was in. But yeah, yeah, Flash, and then you have Bird and the Midnight Falcon. Um, and Bird is so about trying to make it that he's willing to sabotage the Five Heartbeats in order to do so. What was your thoughts on that scene there?
Which one? Which one?
With Bird in the Midnight Falcons, when he like said, "Hey, my cousin's an MC," or his one guy's cousin's the MC, so he's gonna kind of make it bad, and then he invited his girlfriend Cookie and her girls to kind of
Oh
help
yeah. Okay. I
for him.
mean, I just took that as I got to make it. I got to do whatever it takes, and that's just business. It's I mean it's not fair. I mean obviously, but it's just that's a tactic in business. It's kind of like it's a war. It's basically a lot of people do it. They're all out for themselves. Just the nature of the business. You know a little bit about that. You worked in wrestling. It's the nature of the business.
Yeah. But people like in this movie, people use whatever they can to get famous.
Yeah.
If it's not
Oh,
only
yeah.
ability, you had unfortunately the flip side of that, you have somebody like, not saying Diane Ross wasn't talented. She was talented, but you also have her who essentially slept with the man at Motown, slept with Barry Gordy, the owner of the president of Motown, to kind of further things, for herself.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's one aspect of it. But you have other aspects of sabotage, like, hey, what can I do? What can I do to make this other person worse so that I can win, so that I can get noticed, you know? And so that's what Bird did. Bird essentially built a deck against the Five Heartbeats. He said
Yeah.
he had his cousin say, "Hey, you need we have a new rule that you got to use our pianist, our player, to play your songs. You can't use yourself." And then he also was like, and then he also, when he announced him on stage, he said, the next group says that they're better than Bird and the Midnight Falcons, Temptations, and the Four Tops all rolled in together. We shall see. It's just like saying, so nobody wants to hear, like, hey, come to the stage. Is a guy who says he is a better singer and dancer than Elvis Presley. Ladies and gentlemen, Brandon Spivey. And then, like,
I'm neither of those, Aaron.
I know.
I know too. I would never say that.
You wouldn't want somebody to set you up like that, because people are gonna say,
No, I
"Oh,
would not. No,
so,
because then
yeah,
you got to go out and you got to live up to a false advertisement,
mhm."
which they
So
did do eventually. They did do it. I did like Robert in this scene though. He kicked the piano off the piano because he's like, man, it's not my song. It's
yeah,
I loved it though. I loved that whole scene. It was great.
yeah, he was pretty much saying, don't, like, essentially, if you make a movie or you write a book or you write a screenplay or anything like that,
Yeah, that's
it's
what I can do well right there.
it's your baby, right? It's something that you
Yes.
kind of came up with. and then you don't want somebody to take it. Yeah, I wonder how it feels for people who have actually got scripts sold in Hollywood, and to know that what you wrote isn't what is ultimately seen on screen. When you look at it and be, oh, they just kind of butchered my child, butchered my,
Yeah.
you know, I can imagine that's why some writers probably think I can't even watch that movie because it's not what you wrote.
It's why I've never sent out my best work, which I know most people would send out their best work, but I don't want Hollywood butchering my best, But yeah, I get what you're saying. It's true. I mean, they were butchering his song, and he had to kick him out. And I just loved it. I thought it was hilarious.
It was a great scene. Plus, then at that point, also a couple of things happening. You have choir boy getting bottles thrown at him, so he skates off the stage for a minute, and then but then Eddie took control of it and just started belting. Which I think I want to say that if I'm wrong, please somebody let me know. But I want to say that had to be Michael Wright's actual voice. I feel like it should have been his actual voice because he belted like a song, out, and then like they did that little, acapella type of harmonizing, like that they would do on the street corner type of thing, and just won over the crowd, won over like even at one point you seen that Eddie's father, who at one point famously said, "You ain't crap, because I ain't, and you ain't gonna be crap because I ain't crap." Mm-hmm. But you see that his father was proud of his son.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wish they would have played in more to that little arc, But what they did give you was enough, I guess. He was proud of him, and after kind of putting him down, but I figured he put him down because he didn't want his son to go out there and feel disappointed that he couldn't live up to his dreams. He was afraid that he wouldn't be able to do it. So I feel that's why he put him down like he did.
Yeah. I wonder if also Eddie King Sr. Was had dreams and aspirations of something at one point in his life and failed, and so he felt like if I failed and my son came from me, then he too is going to fail, and that probably even goes further back into his actual family. Maybe his father failed, and so it's so he feels like this is a curse of our family.
Yeah.
And thank God that Eddie eventually broke that curse. And it's not with, it wasn't with a successful career. It was with God. So yeah. But yeah, man. But I love that they got this. This is also when we got them noticed by Big Red, which he was a perfect villain. I agree with you. He was excellent in this role as this like villainous guy that comes off as friendly enough and likable enough.
You know who he reminded me of? Just not as bad. Oh man, why am I forgetting the Colonel Parker from Elvis?
Mm-hmm.
Just because he came off like a really nice guy at first, but then you see his true nature to steal talent away. Now, I'm not saying Colonel Parker would have killed somebody for a guy like Elvis, but it would, But it just reminded me of that, and it reminded me of what these people will do. They know they got a hot commodity, they got a hot talent that's going to make them money. What will you do to get them? And I think most people in that situation would go to murder.
And, it reminded
especially in that era.
Yeah, it reminded me of also the you remember? Have you seen the movie Cadillac Records?
No.
That was a really good movie. But that is based off true stories. It reminds me of how a lot of record execs would keep their talent essentially with the illusion of success, with the illusion of of, of fortune, without actually giving them the fortune. So it's like the scene where Red is like, "Hey, pick out your Cadillac, which one you want," type of thing. All right, let's
Mm-hmm.
get money so you can get a bigger house or this or this, but you don't actually control your money.
Nope.
You don't actually control it. So yeah.
So that's why he reminded me of Colonel Parker.
Mm,
Because when Elvis tried to leave him, he had to pay him back. I mean, everything. It's just wrong. But
yeah.
that is the nature of the business with
That's
people
why
like
it's
that.
important. It's important for. I think it's why it's important for maybe a talent to have an actual attorney or somebody
Yeah.
present for their best interest to make sure that they don't get screwed over. But
But
yeah,
in that era though, they didn't know. They trusted people, took them at their
mm,
word. And
yeah,
we learn
that's
we
true.
learn you learn the
Yeah.
hard way. You can't do that in
And
business.
Jimmy was like, handshake is a handshake, and your word is good enough for me. It's just type of
Yeah.
personality Jimmy is. Uh, but but yeah, so one of the little peeks into who the who Big Red was happens later on in the movie,
Oh.
where Red and Bird had a Bird. Look, hey, let me ask you this: when's Big Red's office hours, Brandon?
It's 9 to 5. I got that real quick.
Don't you come to that man at 8 o'clock. Don't go to him at 8:30. Don't even go to him at 5:05. It's 9 to 5.
Yeah, if you go to him afterwards, you're gonna find yourself hanging from a window.
Yeah, something similar happened to Vanilla Ice, but with Suge Knight dangling Vanilla Ice over the balcony to make Vanilla Ice sign over his, I guess, his royalties or whatnot for Ice Ice Baby. Um, so yeah, that happened.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that
I'm
happened.
not shocked though, honestly, because he literally had no money after that failed. I mean, Ice
Mhm.
Ice Baby didn't fail, but that was like his one big hit. It was, and he went in what metal music.
Yeah.
I don't know what he does now. I seen like
He,
last year he was like in Beaver Dam doing something, but I don't know
he
what
did
type of
home.
music.
Dude, he is in big. I had no idea. He do home improvement and stuff like that. And I know he has a YouTube channel where he was like reacting to Vanilla Ice or Ice Ice Baby and kind of breaking down the video and like what it was happening on that day and thing. I thought it was very insightful. But yeah, that stuff happens, man. But
I
yeah,
mean,
I bet you.
I'm glad he's getting a biopic. That'd be interesting because a lot of
I didn't know.
people, like I remember Arsenio Hall that interview basically said he stole, you know, from black people, and
Mm.
it was an interesting interview, and Arsenio looked like he was very serious. Didn't know he was fun. He was joking one bit. It was just a very interesting interview. I'm sure you've seen it.
No, I haven't. That's very interesting, and it's crazy how like three separate. I would argue the three most famous white people to cross over to black music has all had those same type of things thrown at them, which would be Elvis, which would be Vanilla Ice, and then would later be Eminem. Those were the three main ones that have had that type of criticism thrown at them. Uh, but yeah, it's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, the one point I was going to point out to you, man, is there's one element in this movie that happens that felt more like uh, a musical, and that was the number between Duck and his sister when we haven't finished yet because the music kind of comes out of nowhere and she's singing, which I thought was a sweet moment, sweet musical thing. The way that he's finding all these papers and having to read this line and this line to kind of put together a melody for the song. So, what was your thoughts on that thing?
Um, I mean, it wasn't bad. I mean, um, I don't know if it actually. You really believe it felt like a musical though during that?
That that portion did because the music wasn't in, like they're singing a song with music behind it and everything. But maybe that's what he was hearing in his head. Maybe that's how I should take it. That they were, he was hearing the music, but then just they were singing the song without the music. Maybe. I mean, it could be the case.
I mean, it could be. I mean, I like the scene, but
Yeah,
I
me
didn't
too.
think. I didn't think it was. They were trying to portray it as like a musical, like scene. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
But
Mm-hmm.
I like the scene. I really thought this movie was really well done. Which I'm not saying I didn't go into it expecting that because I hadn't really never heard of this movie, to be honest. But I saw the cast and I was like, man, they all play their parts well. But yeah, but I did want to ask you about this part though. It's more
Yeah.
towards it's kind of Jimmy's final moments.
Mm.
But it's with Red and Eddie. Eddie's all strung out on whatever he's been on. Uh, he's trying to go solo, and this
Mm-hmm.
seems to happen with every big group that makes it big. And there's always that one person that wants to leave the group to go solo. I was just curious what your thoughts on Eddie at that point in time, plus Big Red trying to steal the. Well, he only really wanted Eddie. He said everyone else could
Yeah.
be replaced. What was your
By
thoughts
the
on
way,
that?
let me tell you something that I didn't know until just now when I looked on IMDb. That he was the producer and writer on Lionheart with John Claude Van Damme. I had no idea. But
Who?
Michael Wright,
Really?
yes,
Wow. I I had no idea either.
yeah, that's
That's
pretty. It's
crazy.
pretty awesome. Yeah, uh, but anyway, no, I thought that was like it is a very. It happens in a lot of these films, biopic type of or musical type of films. But I felt one. Let me talk about Eddie. Michael Wright played Eddie so well that he is so believable in his in the different stages of his addiction
Yeah.
and his different. And at one point, he just kind of talk with a whisper, you know, you know, just because I have one tea drink, don't make me some alcoholic, you know. But yeah, he just really he really showed it and essentially allowed people to bleed into his life to convince him like you'll be so much better without Jimmy because
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy was the guy that tried to keep him honest, try to keep him on the right path, you know. Uh,
Yeah.
and I also say the death of Jimmy marked the beginning of the end for him. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, but yeah, I think that then I think that it's crazy, man. Like that thing with the garbage can, and the garbage truck, and everything. It's just it was a hit. It was essentially a hit out on the guy, and but it's followed by what is one of my favorite things is when Red gets slapped by Jimmy's widow.
Oh yeah.
Or what was your thoughts on like that scene and him trying to like push up on his wife at his funeral?
Oh well, before that, walking up with the rose and laying it on the casket and just crying, knowing he had this man killed, and then he's going to hit on the wife. Moments after that, I mean, it's just like, what's going on upstairs is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I would say that it shows classic narcissist where he doesn't read the room type of things and feels like he can just do whatever he wants. Essentially, he says he shouldn't be alone at a time like this. Maybe
Yeah.
sometimes, and she slaps him and and tells him get out, and just I just love that scene. Uh, but yeah, just I love that he was taken down a peg or two, and and she was right to do that. Diane, Carol.
Oh yeah, no doubt, she's right. I mean, he deserved
Um,
more, but he did.
he,
He did get, he was found guilty of murder, and which it wasn't him though, but he was behind it all. So I was kind at those newspaper articles. I was kind of curious, did who actually committed the crime? Because you don't really see that. I mean, I know it's not a focus, but I was just curious, who he actually hired.
Hello, I am Atlas. This is one of my favorite movies. Absolutely. Yeah, I would say this is one of Robert Townsend's. This is probably I would say this is Robert Townsend's best movie. Because like I personally do like Hollywood Shuffle. I know you didn't really care for it like that, but I think that Five Heartbeats is just all around cohesive story.
Yeah,
Uh, and sandwiched in it is like it was good. It's a good story, man.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. It really was. He did. He also did Blank Man, right?
yeah. Robert did. Oh, he did Hollywood Shuffle, Meteor Man.
Oh,
Uh,
okay, Meteor Man, maybe that's what I'm thinking
uh,
of.
Let me see. I'm trying to find his filmography. I don't like. Oh, here we go. It's directed. That's what I was trying to get
Blank Man was
at.
probably directed by Wayans.
Um, he did that show on Netflix called Kaleidoscope, which I've never seen. I heard good things. Uh, let's see, Best Man, the final chapter. He did maybe an episode of that. He's doing a lot of. He did the new Wonder Year show. He did like an episode of that, I guess. Um, let's see, The Last OG. He's doing a lot of TV, Black Lightning.
I like Black
Uh,
Lightning.
yeah, American Soul. He did that little show. Um, I'm trying to find his actual the In the Hive, which I've never seen that. I don't know. I'm trying to find his actual films, not just like TV, because a lot of these people do a lot of. He did 10,000 Black Men Named George. I remember that movie. Um, Carmen, the hip opera film, Holiday Heart with Bing Rames. Uh, Little Richard, the biopic, up and
Leon
away.
with
Yeah,
Leon.
he did. Yep, he did a Disney movie, Up and Away. Um, Fraternity Boys. I don't know, Bats, Meteor Man, Five Heartbeats. Uh, Eddie, most famous Eddie Murphy's Raw. So yeah, it,
Yeah, I would say Five Heartbeats is probably his best film he's directed.
yeah. But yeah, so Eddie essentially declines because not only the drugs, but the guilt that he had something to do with Jimmy's death. You know,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and you can see that it just kind of wrecks him, and he's essentially out of the group. He leaves the group on his own accord because he says, "I don't want to sing no more." So he leaves the group, and they replace him with Flash, who was a flash in the pan. Um, but how did you feel like the Five Heartbeats was with Flash as the lead?
I felt that was like maybe
The '70s, I guess.
kind of like, to me it felt like James Brown in a group. His
Like,
persona in a group, and
yeah,
just
yeah,
didn't gel with the other people. He was all by
yeah,
himself, which I'm not
I
saying
see.
James Brown was that way. I felt
Yeah,
he could
James
have been
Brown.
that way from the biopic,
No, James
but
Brown was. It was Mr. Brown and then everybody else.
yeah.
But but yeah,
It's all I know about his life. It was from that biopic. Uh, I
which was
Sometimes it's not good to make movies about people because you find out they're not very good people.
well, but it was very good biopic in the sense of Chadwick Boseman
Oh yeah,
excellently
he was amazing in it.
like he disappeared into James Brown, and
I
you
mean, he
didn't see Chuck.
disappeared in every role he played, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
Yes,
facts. That's just
yeah,
facts.
yeah. But yeah, and then so with with what you're saying, with Flash coming into the 5 heartbeat, I almost said Temptation, the 5 heartbeat. He he was he was like I'm the dude in the group. I'm the main guy,
Yeah.
and I'm and then like they are essentially the Flash and the 5 heartbeat. Essentially, is what it was turned out to be.
I mean, it's. I think one scene showed that when Eddie showed up after one of their concerts,
Hmm.
and he's like, he's he's not doing well at all. He looks homeless. And he said, and I love what he said though. How's it feel being me?
Yeah, yeah. Because
and
Eddie says you ain't gonna get it because you ain't got it. You want to be me, but you ain't. In that scene right there, I learned that the actor that played Flash, his martial arts background, he was really wanting to hit Michael Wright. Really wanting to hit him because he's is anybody that gets that close to you in martial arts, whatever, it's like part of you kick in to defend yourself.
mm-hmm.
And so it took everything in him to not fight Michael because Michael is really in his face and really saying, like come on, like Eddie was he was Eddie. He was no Michael. There was no cut. He was like, I'm in your face. Like, what's up? You know,
Yeah.
which that's one thing I loved about going back and watching this movie again is that I got so much more respect for uh, his portrayal of Eddie in this movie. Because he is out of all the characters, he was the most realistic.
Yeah, yeah. I felt he had the most. He was the most well written character of all of them. Now you do get some storylines with JT. What was his name in the movie?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, him. With he got engaged, and
Mm-hmm.
JT's sleeping with his fiance. You do get some of that, but overall, I felt Eddie was the best written character, the most fleshed out character in the whole movie.
Like
Second, I would probably say JT, just because of the womanizing thing, because
the
that
the
was
least
played on throughout the whole film.
the least no the least character to really be developed will probably be Choir Boy.
Yeah,
Uh, in a sense, like he had his whole thing was, I can do this and still worship God, and then eventually, his anger towards his father said, "Well, I'm going to just go out and do what you say I'm doing. I'm going to just go ahead and do it anyway." So he did it and left the church and became more of what his father said he was going to do anyway. But I think later on, somewhere he comes back to he reconciles
yeah,
himself back to the church and to his father. Uh, but I will say I want to mention Dresser and the scene where he finds out that his girlfriend's pregnant, and he doesn't know what to do. Like he's thinking about quitting to take care of the kid, and but then he's also thinking about maybe it's better if they get rid of the child. And I love how Eddie says, "Didn't you just say you love her?" And then like he took that number out of his hand and crumbled it up, and then took all his money that he had in his pocket and gave it to him, and then deducted the same. I just love that little scene
mm-hmm.
of just them coming together for the good of another person.
Yeah. At that point in time, it was a brotherhood with all of them. At that point in time, which was pretty early on. But yeah, it was a good scene. It really was. It was a heartwarming scene of
Mm-hmm.
them helping out their comrade. Um, but when they're being honored, and Flash is basically saying he's leaving the group.
Going on a solo career
Yeah,
with the album that'll be out in a week or two, which
you
that
know,
means he's been working on it. It's lonely at the top.
But in that scene, it didn't seem like anyone else really cared that he was leaving, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah,
then,
I think they were surprised, but ultimately, it didn't really matter because it's overshadowed by you know what happened with Duck and him knowing he pretty much called out his brother and his fiance for their relationship and says that his brother's
but,
been.
but he also thanks them for making him a better writer.
Mm. Yeah, so as a writer, what were your thoughts on that? On that concept of
Oh yeah,
you,
hardships, any kind of
yeah,
hardship will make you better. It gives you, it just gives you more to write about. It gives you a purpose in writing.
mm,
Anything that's happened to you, or whatever. Yeah, that it'll definitely help. Um, so I could say that. Yeah, and it was an emotional scene though because he was giving up something he loved. He loved being part of Five Heartbeats,
it was
and
his baby.
yeah, and you could tell his heart was broken by his brother and his fiance. Now, what did you think of this? So, I mean, of JT at this point, that he would sleep with his own brother's fiance.
I noticed something in. Uh, I want to mention a couple of things. Um, um, I was trying to find something. But anyway, um, so one thing, when they came to Jimmy's house to rehearse, and
Mm-hmm.
uh, and Duck seen the girl that he had a crush on, who really didn't have no time of day for him or whatever. Uh, but at the same time, at the corner, you can see JT kind of looking at her, scoping her out. I never noticed it until like they pointed it out on this like little review I was watching. I'm like, oh man, I never noticed him. He is in the corner, just kind of looking at her, like peeping her out, looking at her up and down. You know, so uh, I think that in somewhere, obviously they had that relationship, and why he did it is that he someone said in another review, and I think it's kind of interesting. Uh, they said that JT was jealous of Duck because Duck had the talent of writing music, and so JT uh, wanted to pretty much take something that take something that Duck wanted, for himself. And you see that pattern with like the shy brother thing, where he did it for him once, and to get JT a woman, but then when he asked JT to do it for him, JT pretty much made him look like a fool, and then took the girl and said, "I tricked you, sorry," but he wasn't sorry. And then like the dude says,
He was sorry.
Why every night I gotta fight to prove my love?" But
That's a
but
sign you're
yeah,
with the wrong woman, though. You know it.
yeah,
It is. I mean, if you got to fight for her every single night, you go out. You need to let her go.
yeah, I agree. But yeah, I thought uh, that he would do it is uh, crazy. Now, but I want to talk about the pain that you mentioned, because it reminds me of in the Temptation song, "I Wish It Would Rain." It was written by one of the writers, one of the people that kind of helped with that song was a guy named Roger Penzabine, and he wrote that uh, after finding out that his wife, has been cheating on him, and he wrote that song. But then shortly after writing that song, like a week after it was released, he committed he deleted himself. Um, and so at age 22. So I thought that was like when you talk about like pain
Mm-hmm.
fueling or inspiring great work. that's probably like an example of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, if it's too great, you can make it will make well, obviously it will make you do things that you don't get a chance to take back, you
Can't
know.
take back, yeah. But also with all this happening, you hear on the radio that Eddie King Jr. was shot in a robbery and in critical condition. It was on the radio. So, but yeah. So we pick back up where we left off with Duck, now famous, has been writing music, has been singing songs, the writing songs of other artists or whatever, and
Mm-hmm.
has been famous doing it. But he gets a invitation to church with a choir boy, and so he decides to go to a choir boy's church service, and was sitting there and just hears a familiar voice,
Mm.
uh, in the reveal of Eddie. What was it like for you?
Oh man, that was redemption. I guess would be the word to
Did
say.
you think that Eddie was going to be there? Like, where did you think it was
No,
going
no.
to go?
I mean, I thought it was interesting. He's inviting him to church. Was he? Okay. Well, on one hand, I was like, oh, he went back to his roots. Went back
Hmm.
and got himself back in church. I thought maybe he's the pastor or something. He's just inviting a friend. I wasn't really expecting Eddie to show up there, but it was heartwarming. And as I said, I would say redemption, because he got his redemption in that moment.
Hmm.
He got his life together. I would say with the help of Choir Boy.
Yeah.
Now I don't know.
Seems like
I
Choir
don't
Boy has been.
recall if they
Yeah.
explained that, but
No, I think they did. I think they said that Choir Boy has pretty much been helping him to kind of get established. He's been clean for, I think, 4 or 5 years. So
yeah,
yeah.
I remember the 5 years
Yeah.
bit. But anyway, it was just redemption, and that's such a good feeling to have when you have redemption in your life, especially when you made so many wrong choices in
Hmm.
life and you finally do get that redemption. It was just good to see on screen with Eddie because he made a lot of bad choices leading up to this moment, and just to see how he's turned his life around. It
Hmm.
was just redemption, and it was heartwarming. It was rewarding to see, honestly, from my
Yeah,
perspective.
I
Just
agree.
rewarding.
Uh, yeah, and I would also say that, like, especially with the conversation that they had after the church service, uh, where Eddie was telling him, that he's clean and he's thankful and he's actually managing the group. He's Eddie is now Jimmy, and I love that full circle moment of he's now pouring into younger talent,
Yeah.
hoping to kind of help them to get a foot up in the career. But he's kind of become uh, Jimmy like a better father figure than the father figure that he actually had. He became Jimmy, and I didn't think about that until just now. But yeah, what's your thoughts on that? That
Yeah,
thought.
it never crossed my mind that he kind of became Jimmy. But now you say it, yeah, I have to agree. Which is another aspect of redemption. He set things in motion for another man to be murdered. He
Mm-hmm.
didn't realize that's what he was doing, but that's what he was doing. And now he's kind of filling that role for younger people that Jimmy filled for him. And I think it's really, in a way, it's really smart writing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just another story arc for Eddie, which
Mm-hmm.
obviously made it just
Eddie
made
had all
him.
the story. He
Yeah,
had all the
it
story.
really did. Eddie's really the lead, and he was the lead singer. So I guess the focus should have been on him the most
Yeah.
because they get all the attention and the lead singers. But it was just rewarding, heartfelt. That
Mm-hmm.
he's helping younger people out. That he felt maybe didn't help him out in his rise, even though people
Mm-hmm.
were helping him out, but he may have felt so self-absorbed that no one was helping him. So
mm,
it's just rewarding to see
yeah,
him give back.
yeah. And then also to have Duck say, "Yeah, no, I got you, buddy. I'm gonna, yeah, I'm you know, just say the word. I can come up with a song for you." And then like Eddie says, "Well, I'm glad, thank you." But then most importantly, Eddie's like, "I heard what happened between you and JT," and he's like, "I ain't got nothing to say to him," and he's like, "But hey, man, that's your brother. Just you know, look him up, because it's the saying, life is short. God, look what the God has done in my life, man. Just try to, you know,
Yeah.
to mend that fence um, with your sibling, and I love how when he sees his brother that JT has now become a family man and a father, and stopped his, which he kind of alluded to there at one point, that he's tired of doing the same old thing.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, but it was kind of, I don't know. Do you feel like it was forced, or do you feel like it was a natural progression for his character, or do you think that with his brother pretty much lashing out at him publicly and leaving the group because of it is what kind of helped him to grow up?
I mean, I think that probably did help him grow up a full. You know, I felt like it helped him atone for his choices in life. But at the same time, we didn't really get to see him grow into the person he became. It just,
Mm,
it was, it was just too fast. Because the last time we
mm-hmm,
seen him, he's still the playboy. He's still, he's playing these women. He's still that guy. And next time we see him, he's a family man. So, and I was thinking this last night as I was watching it, that I felt this movie actually could have been like a mini series, uh, or even the actual TV series. They could have actually took time to showcase everything. But it's a great movie. I'm not taking that away, but I just felt some things weren't as fleshed out. Like JT's becoming, the father he became and the person he eventually became.
what would be kind of dope is if it did do something like that, and if it did like a span of a whole week, say, each night we're focused on another heartbeat,
Yeah.
uh, until like the last night kind of gels every story together in a conclusion. That'd be actually pretty dope, actually. Um, but yeah, so they end up embracing and forgiving one another, and then the next thing you know, they're at JT's house and they're having a cookout. You know, Choir Boy is burning those ribs, which they're unedible at that point. Um, but and then also on the T, which I don't know why TV's outside, but there's TV outside, and we see that Flash is now with the Five Horsemen, and they have high top fade and blonde high top fade. I thought
Mhm.
that was very silly, huh?
Who is this?
Like
You
on the
said,
TV, you
yeah, I
see
know, but
Flash.
who is this supposedly based off on? Did an
Uh,
act do this?
I don't know of anyone specifically, but he kept saying that, oh, this is not real music, it's garbage. So I wonder if there was someone, if somebody knows, please comment on our Facebook page or YouTube channel. If you know of any specific person in music history that was very much like that, whether it's one and a black guy with a white group behind him, or uh, just something that just that type of thing. Take it from a specific time period that
Yeah,
try to reinvent itself as a certain thing. Uh, think about later on, MC Hammer tried to come out as being gangster when he signed with Death Row Records, but it really didn't pan because MC Hammer, uh, no, no one buys that you're a gangster. And he's from Oakland. He's probably the most gangster of everybody that's on Death Row Records. But um,
I think of
yeah,
two versions of MC Hammer. I think of "You Can't Touch Me" MC Hammer, and I think of the Christian MC Hammer. I
you,
can't.
you, you can't touch this, not me.
Oh, okay. You can't touch this. Whatever. You can't touch something. Okay.
But anyway, but yeah, so he sees this and he's like, no, this is not music. And then like he's like heartbeats front and center, and so they come in and put their hands in, and then eventually Eddie was like, "You sure y'all want to hang with Eddie Kane?" And then they're like, "Yeah, we're sure." And so Eddie finally gets up. Then the last heartbeat to come in the line is Duck. And so I just love that little moment of them just outside dancing and doing like a little performance for the family.
Yeah.
And what my mind goes to is maybe they will strike up a reunion type of tour, or like kind of like the Temptations. The Temptations still tour to this day. It's just like there's only one original member because everybody else has passed away. Essentially, but yeah, that's what I kind
Yeah.
of
I
thought about.
mean, for the ages they were supposed to be, honestly, is probably the age they are now or close to it. So, I mean,
Yeah,
it would be interesting if someone brought up the Robert, say, "Hey, would you be up for like a sequel for the Five Heartbeats in like a reunion type movie that kind of was setting? Maybe you could have set it up at the end of the first one
yeah,
at the
late
barbecue,
'80s,
maybe
yeah,
a
late '80s,
conversation." Yeah,
going into like the '90s, maybe. Yeah,
yeah.
it'd be kind of.
I would watch it honestly. I really enjoyed the movie, so I'd be up for it.
All right.
I'd be curious if that's ever been a conversation he's had with
Oh yeah, I would
anybody.
love. I think that I would be down for that too. You ready to give your marks for it?
Yeah. I'm gonna go 4 out of 5 on a markout meter. I thought this was a solid movie. I thought the music was good. For the most part, the characters were fleshed out. There's some parts, as we discussed, that weren't as fleshed, but I thought it was a very touching story. Sad in moments, inspiring at moments. It it did its job for a film that's not really a biopic. It felt
Yeah,
like one,
it felt
and
like one. Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah. Okay. I give it. I'm going to give it 5 markouts out of 5.
I knew you
Because
would.
yeah, this is a movie that like for me is quotable for one. Like I've seen it so many times. I know this movie from beginning to end. But looking at it this way as a critic, like looking at it critically, it was interesting looking at it. I could see some flaws in it, but I think that nostalgia kind of pushes it by for me.
Yeah.
But I really appreciate Eddie King as a character a little bit more now watching it this time around. And I would agree with you to say that the movie's about his story and his redemption. Although Robert is Duck's character, Duck is a character is who you follow, but I think he's essentially a fly on the wall following the life of Eddie.
You
And so
know
yeah.
what it reminds me of, and this came out first, and but it kind of reminds me of that movie, That Thing You Do.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel this is better. I feel
This
the
is
music.
another fictional group, another
Yeah,
fake.
yeah, they're another fictitious group. I can't remember everybody in that group. All I really remember is like Tom Everett Scott and Tom Hanks kind of being the manager. But I thought that last night watching it's kind of. I feel like they kind of copied and pasted, but with white people.
Yeah,
I don't
right.
want to. I don't want to make it about race, but
No, no, no.
I
No, it's
felt that.
essentially it's what the movie mentioned. They did it, but with that movie, exactly. But all right, what we got next week, Brandon?
I'm gonna go a little different. I said we would do this, and if we don't, if I don't pick it next, I won't do it. So I'm gonna do. It's another list. The top 15 biopics we want to see following the Iron Claw in
Of
wrestling.
wrestling.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm down with that. Let's go.
So, but last night watching this, I was kind of thinking, maybe we should do a biopics of music artists we like to see that haven't actually gotten one. But later, maybe after the Michael Jackson biopic comes out, we'll do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I have another biopic to choose eventually. It'd probably be my next one.
Bob Marley?
No. Oh, dude.
It's coming
Is
out
that
soon.
coming out? Yeah, I would love to do that. I do want to. I would do want to do that. I forgot about that. All right. Well, what do you want the people to do?
If you enjoyed this episode and you want to see more, click that like, click that subscribe to the Markout Movie Podcast, comment and share. And if you aren't following us on Facebook, follow us on Facebook.
Follow us, like us, love us, want more of us. We appreciate it. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode. If you haven't seen Five Heartbeats, right now it is on Max. If you have Max as a viewing service, um, check it out. It's 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 a good movie. There is some things that fall short because of the time frame of which it's shot versus today, but I think it's still an enjoyable movie. And watch it for Eddie King. Watch for Eddie King Jr. If you don't watch for anyone else, watch for that man. You will not be disappointed. Well, Aaron Whitlow,
Brandon Spivey.
we're the Markout Movie Podcast. Thank you for watching.